I built this custom keyboard for only $77.03 and you won't believe how good it sounds and feels. My brother wanted a custom keyboard, but he didn't want to spend an arm and a leg for it. And I don't blame him. This space is not cheap. Something that's $150 to $200 is considered a budget option. And that's crazy for the amount of money that you have to spend in order to build a custom keyboard. And that doesn't even include your keycaps and your switches, which is 50% of the parts that you need in order to build a custom keyboard. So these are the criteria I had to meet in order to do this project. It has to be under $100. It needs to have a 75% or more layout with the print screen key because he needs it for work. He wants to have a nice keycap design, nothing too basic. He wants to make sure the keyboard feels somewhat premium. It doesn't have to be very expensive feeling, but he doesn't want it to feel cheap. And he wants to make sure that the switches, when you're typing with it, it's somewhat silent and it's not too loud. So no clicky switches. I don't get why people even use that switch. I'm going to be honest, when I first heard this from him, I told him it was impossible. He was not going to get a keyboard with everything he wanted on that list, and he had to make some sacrifices. Luckily, there was one option. It kind of checked all the boxes, but AliExpress was where I had to get all the parts because it was literally impossible to build a keyboard with everything on his list for under $100. So I was able to find this base kit. It's called the CIY84. I believe it's an 84% keyboard. It's a compact 75% with a few extra keys on top of it. Not my preferred layout, but it at least checks off the box for it being 75% or more. And for it being only $26, I cannot complain. This keyboard has an aluminum top frame, which is unheard of for a keyboard at this price point. It even comes with a PCB foam and a thick piece of case foam. These foam pads are usually an additional add-on for about $10 to $15 for other custom keyboard kits. It has north-facing LED, which isn't too big of a deal now with the companies doing a better job manufacturing their switches, so there isn't an interference with Cherry keycaps. There is a switch on top to lock the board, and I'm guessing you use this if you want to go away from your keyboard and you don't want anyone to touch it. There's also a switch function underneath the board that allows you to change some of the keys and swap to a Mac OS layout if you need it. And I still can't believe that you get all of this for only $26. $26. That's insane. The only mod I did on this keyboard was the tape mod. I don't think you need to do anything else. It has all the foam to help dampen the sound. It doesn't feel hollow, and it makes my life very easy when building this keyboard. For the switches, I decided to go with the Gateron Black V2. It's a budget switch that is quiet, smooth, and cheap. And for about $20, you get 90 switches that are pre-lube, which will save you a lot of time. I think lubing switches is probably the most boring and tedious part of building a custom keyboard. Now, if it is your first time doing it, I highly recommend it because it's a great experience. You get to learn how to lube switches. But if you want to save yourself some time in the future, get yourself some pre-lube switches or just have someone else do them for you because there are benefits to it. Sometimes the factory doesn't do a good job lubing it, so you need someone to hand lube each switch if you want a consistent feel on them. For the keycaps, my brother wanted the GMK Blue Samurai. I know some people aren't a fan of buying clones, but there's really no other options if you want this specific design of keycaps. I think if you can't afford or don't want to spend $100+ on GMK keycaps, the clones are completely fine. It's funny because this was actually the most expensive part of the keyboard. It's not even the base kit. I've purchased keycaps from AliExpress before, and to be honest, the quality isn't great, but you're paying mainly for the design because you're not going to get it anywhere else unless you pay more money for it. This is the only place you can get it if you want a specific design. The only downside I would say with this keyboard is that there's no 2.4 gigahertz or Bluetooth connection, which isn't really a big deal if you mainly use it in front of your computer and you're not traveling around with it. And there you have it. This keyboard comes in a little over 2 pounds, and I'm still in shock that I was able to pull this off with the budget I had and all the criteria that I had to check off in order to make it work. But I'm glad that there's options like this that's out there for people who are just trying to get into this hobby and they want to have a keyboard that isn't too expensive, but it feels premium and it feels good, sounds good, and I feel like this keyboard does that job really well. And I'll leave you off here with a sound test of the keyboard. You let me know down below how it sounds, and I'll see you all in the next video.